So the nervous system right now is one of the most talked about topics in the health and wellness space. And honestly, it's for very good reason. But I am always very careful about focusing on the right aspect. And I don't think that that's fully happening right now in this space. So most of us think that regulating the nervous system, or you hear things like we just have to manage stress in order to heal the rest of the body, or that stress management is one of the most important things that we need to do in order to heal the rest of the body. But honestly, relaxation alone or random stress management practices are not enough to actually regulate your nervous system. Lying on the couch doesn't mean that your body isn't in a state of fight or flight. So today what I want to talk about is diving into the nervous system, but how the nervous system actually acts like a muscle, and how blood sugar balance is one of the key ways to help regulate the whole system, and why skipping meals and not focusing on blood sugar might be keeping you in that fight or flight mode. So just a quick breakdown of what the nervous system is for those of you that aren't super familiar, and then we'll dive into the video. But so the nervous system has two primary parts. It has a sympathetic and a parasympathetic. So those are the two parts of your nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, or the SNS, is known as your fight or flight. So the SNS is responsible for preparing the body to respond to stress. So it increases our heart rate, it redirects blood flow to muscles, it elevates our blood sugar levels because we need quick energy, that glucose. We need that to respond to a stressful situation for quick energy. Then we have this parasympathetic state, or the parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as your rest, digest system. It helps calm the body after a stress response. So it promotes that relaxation, and it lowers your heart rate, and it redirects then blood flow back to digestion. And it really does help the body conserve energy for healing, recovery, hormone production, detoxification, and all of those systems. So these two systems work together, and they maintain that perfect balance in the body, and your body's ability to appropriately respond to stress, because stress is a very normal part of our everyday. But what ends up happening is we end up, a lot of us, chronically activated in that sympathetic nervous system, which then really leads to the dysregulation of our entire body and really affects our overall health and well-being. We need this balanced, flexible nervous system in order to create stable moods, in order to reduce anxiety, in order to have a more calm mind, but also it's so important for our overall metabolic function, because when we're active in that sympathetic state and stuck there in that fight or flight, we pump out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and those things basically impact every other function in our body. So high levels of cortisol, they lead to increased fat storage, especially around the abdominal area, because our body needs that quick glucose in order to respond to an emergency situation. So what cortisol does is it activates a process in our body called glucogenesis, which is the production of glucose from non-carb sources, typically your muscle tissue or your liver. And it elevates that blood sugar levels and essentially leads to things like insulin resistance. It suppresses thyroid function, so it can really affect our digestion, our appetite, our hormone production, detoxification, etc. So if you're here and you're really struggling with hormones and digestion, and your energy is crap and your moods are all over the place, it's really important that we do dive into nervous system regulation. But like I said, we want to focus on the right aspect. So today we're going to really talk about how this is a muscle, and we need to practice getting out of our sympathetic state. And one of the main and best ways to do that is through blood sugar balance. Okay, so why can we not just regulate our nervous system by relaxing more. And basically, it's because relaxation is not the same as true restoration and regulation, okay? Because just because you're lounging around doesn't mean your brain is shut off. It doesn't mean you're not overthinking. It doesn't mean that your body is in a truly relaxed state, okay? So your body can still be in fight or flight even when you're physically horizontal or resting. And honestly, what we end up seeing is the sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, that stress response becomes stronger when it's continuously activated. It's like a muscle that's overused. Okay, so it can keep your body stuck in this hypervigilant state, even though you're trying to relax or quote unquote manage stress. And if you had, let's say, a traumatic event that happened 10 years ago and you activated that fight or flight and never came out of it, again, just relaxing more isn't going to strengthen the parasympathetic system, nervous system, in order to balance out and get you out of that sympathetic fight or flight state. So the goal isn't just to relax, but to actually strengthen the muscle of the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest state, that repair, that healing state, in order to regulate and balance the nervous system. And that, if you are somebody that feels like they've been stuck in a state of fight or flight for a really long time, that may feel really unfamiliar. And just like when you're going to the gym and working out for the first time or lifting a heavy weight, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel safe. And it's probably because you've been on autopilot for years. And we do need to start with basics, just like you would, again, starting a workout program, something simple that you can do consistently. We need to start with basics in order to strengthen and get your parasympathetic nervous system strong and responding appropriately to stress, okay? So just like any muscle, you have to train your nervous system. And honestly, what we're really talking about here is practicing safety in the body. So learning how to truly rest and feel safe takes practice. We're going to strengthen a weak muscle, but it's not just through, like I said, relaxation. We have to practice consistent habits to reinforce that stability and safety in the body. So one of the best tools that you can do and learn and use to strengthen your parasympathetic state is blood sugar balance. Okay, so is one of the most powerful tools and ways that we can actually support our nervous system, because when our blood sugar is unstable, your body perceives it as a threat. So again, this is a stress state for our body. This triggers that sympathetic fight or flight response. Typically with blood sugar balance, where we see issues and where people and women really struggle with blood sugar balance is through skipping meals. I see this all the time. We're under eating, and remember, under eating also triggers the mindset and your nervous system that there's scarcity, that we need to be in a fight or flight, that we're not safe, okay? Or if we're eating a lot of low nutrient dense foods, we're not giving our body the resources, mineral wise, cellular wise, that energy that it needs to actually do its job. So again, we get into this place where energy becomes very valuable as a resource, and we only keep it for stress, for survival, for that stress response, and we're not going to give it out to other processes in the body like digestion, hormone production, sleep, detoxification, etc. So we get these huge blood sugar spikes and crashes throughout the day that really keep our body in a state of survival and not safety at all. We're not feeling safe. And this really does stress the brain, keeps us stuck in that fight or flight. So what we can do is by balancing blood sugar, so through consistent nutrient-dense meals, you're going to create safety in the body, which again is practice and strengthening that parasympathetic nervous system. That is one of the things that you can absolutely do to regulate the nervous system. This is not just like trying to meditate your way out of this. This is really biological processes that will pull you out of that sympathetic state. The number one thing that I see every day with my clients is women, specifically busy women that have a lot to do. We skip meals and we fast, sometimes knowingly, but sometimes unknowingly. And this is one of the biggest impacts and the biggest things that I see that are keeping a lot of my clients stuck in this sympathetic state. So when you skip meals, your body is going to enter into that stress state because it perceives the lack of food as a potential danger, as a potential emergency situation. So even when you're resting, you're going to be in that sympathetic dominant state. It then will lead to, because you're not eating and you're not getting that food, your body is going to activate cortisol, which is going to break down that glycogenesis, break down liver, muscle tissue in order to elevate your blood sugar levels so that you have quick access to energy. And we're going to get blood sugar rises and quick blood sugar falls, which then is going to lead to mood swings, anxiety, a lot of energy crashes, and cravings as well for sugar. Because sugar, glucose, quick energy, our body wants it, and so we get higher amounts of that craving. So the solution is really here, prioritize your meals, at least breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Eating regularly balanced meals, especially that are focused in things like protein and fiber, is going to help stabilize your blood sugar and support a calmer nervous system. So we have to practice safety with food. So this is one of the key things that you can do. Eat protein-rich meals, eat a protein-rich breakfast, eat a protein-rich lunch, eat a protein-rich dinner. This doesn't mean to cut out everything else. That's not what I'm saying. Carbs and fats are very important. But focusing on protein first will help create long-lasting energy and blood sugar stability throughout the day. Then we really want to focus on whole nutrient-dense foods. Again, like I said, minerals are so important as resources in the body. And without those building blocks, we are not able to create cellular energy in order for metabolism to work optimally and have all those systems in the body work. So we need nutrient-dense foods. And I'm going to be doing more videos on nutrient density and what that actually means and what foods you can dive into in the upcoming weeks. So keep an eye out. And I also am going to give you some free resources to help you do this process, finding nutrient dense foods and eating more regularly to sustain that blood sugar. So that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So continue to watch for those. The other thing is that we really want to learn to respond to our hunger cues with nutrient-dense meals. Women are so trained and conditioned to eat to fend off hunger and not eat to satiate the body. We respond to our hunger cues with like a snack instead of a full nutrient-dense meal. If you're hungry, what you need to do is respond with a protein-rich meal rather than these little stacks or stimulants that basically fend off hunger but do not help the body feel safe. This is not creating safety in the body. And the more you respond to your hunger cues with a full nutrient-dense meal, and when you start to do this, it may feel a little sporadic and random, but eventually over time your metabolism will even out, your hunger cues will even, you'll start to really reap the benefits of that stable blood sugar. Okay, so again, practicing blood sugar is one of the simplest ways to help you regulate your nervous system, build a strong, more resilient rest and digest state. Okay, so in the upcoming weeks, we're going to dive into this topic more and more. I'm going to give you guys some actionable things that you can really do to implement these things, some free resources. So check back in, subscribe to the channel for more videos, and especially on nervous system and really building up and practicing that parasympathetic state so you can start to regulate this process and truly heal the body. So Like I said, subscribe below, comment if you've noticed anything about blood sugar and how that affects your mood and energy, and really start to get curious about eating regular big meals and how that truly does impact you long term and day to day, just with your energy, your mood, your cravings, etc. So I'll see you again in another video.